Drago,
What up? What up?
how are you?
Bro, I am so blessed.
You are blessed. What are you
I'm
blessed
doing
with today?
I live an amazing life right now, dude. Like it just keeps getting better. Holy moly.
Keeps getting better. Well, we're all about. I told you my daughter said we need to change the pod from what'd she say? From struggles to strength. So
From struggles to strength.
you
Yeah.
exemplify that from struggle
Hey,
to strength. That's what my 9-year-old told me. So
That's amazing.
I'm in the process of writing a book. I'm like, honey, why don't we call it? So, Kaleigh, we're excited to have you.
Excited to be here, guys.
This is the third chance. What we are about at the third chance is both Drago and I hit rock bottom at different times. My drug of choice was cocaine. I call it the third chance because I was a bastard child that was luckily given up for adoption by a very young single mom. I was then busted in college for 15 pounds of weed and a couple kilos of cocaine. So, massive amounts of drugs. And luckily, I was given a second chance then. And then January 18th, 2010, I tried to take my life. I was at my rock bottom with my addiction. I had just lost my business. I had $330,000 of debt. I had no love in my life. I had no Christ in my life. I had no mentorship, guidance, or fellowship. And I tried to take my life that night. So Drago and I met through coaching a little bit and being in the same industry. And then I just started seeing, I knew him a little bit, but then I started seeing him become transparent with his story and his rock bottom and
Right.
his addictions. And it was right around the time mine was way later. Like this happened 14 years ago for me. And Drago's now been clean 6 years, and I just started getting comfortable talking about it right when he started getting comfortable. So was
Here we
born.
are.
Here we are. Here's the third chance.
well,
We're
hey, dude, every
here.
every
We're
time you say
here.
that, I look at you and I'm like, bro, I love you, man. I'm so glad your dog started barking and you
Yes,
didn't take your life and you're still here, dude.
Yeah. We got
so fun.
lot of lives to change. So we're gonna do that today. Kayleigh's story. Drago, just give me a quick update. What's been going on with you? And then since you and Kayleigh have the relationship, I want you to kind of lead today.
Yeah, man, Jeff Dragovich. I am an opioid addict coming up on the 7 years this year, 6 years in a couple months. I gotta look. I didn't look today, but things are great in my world. Just one day at a time. Just trying to control the next 24 hours is good. So I met Kayleigh through the internet on Instagram. We follow some same people in recovery, and she had made a comment, and I was reading through the comments. I was like, oh, what's up with this girl? And I went on her page and I saw she's open about her recovery, and she had some YouTube links on there, and I listened to her story about what happened to her, and I just was like, man, we got to get her on the podcast because she seems super cool. I just randomly sent her a DM message, so she's probably like, who the heck is this dude? So it worked out. I sent her a couple episodes. She listened to some episodes, the one with my wife on it, and she said, yeah, I'm comfortable to come on. So super pumped to have you on here, Kayleigh.
I'm happy to be here. I'm so happy you reached out. It's funny. I don't normally look at like any requests or anything like that, but yours like came through on my actual Instagram, and I think it's because we follow a lot of the same people.
Yeah.
So it was like Instagram was like, okay, well, we're gonna like show you this. And then I looked and I saw your episodes, and then we started talking. Today you don't know who's messaging you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I started watching them, and I just, man, your episode about the fentanyl project last week was just absolutely phenomenal, and I'm so proud of you guys. Like, I'm so happy you guys are here to do this. This is my dream, always been my dream. I'm not trying to get big and famous. I'm actually like, probably, like everybody that's in recovery, we actually like to hide in the shadows. So
Yes.
being able to like actually talk about my story and stuff, just in case it's all one, that's all I've ever needed, is just to
Yeah.
help one other person, and then
That's
I'm good.
Why don't you start there? Tell us a little bit about your journey. Tell us your rock bottom. We always like sharing rock bottom. So we're always like,
Absolutely.
hey, what led up to this? What was the trauma? You mentioned some of your trauma. What was
Absolutely.
rock bottom and how did you recover? So just take us through that journey.
For sure. My absolute rock bottom, that has me on this recovery journey, was I was with an ex-boyfriend, for a year, and I was completely blindsided by the fact that he was actively using fentanyl in my house,
Ooh.
um, with my kids present. And I have been an advocate. I am somebody that my friends come to when they need to get into local recoveries and stuff like that. I have a lot of connections with like people behind the scenes. So I never thought it could happen to me. When they say love blinds you and stuff like that, I was like, no way. Like, I've been around it my whole life. I know what that is. And when I didn't see it, it made me question everything about myself. I went into a dark, that breakup was very nasty. And then I decided on my own, that I was going to try it again. I was going to try and get clean, abstinence 100%. Like, we're going to do this. Like, don't go around it. Don't be around people, places, and things. I went on a memorial bike ride about 4 months into my recovery journey. And I got a phone call at 4 o'clock that one of my absolute best friends had been found. He had overdosed. And he had actually overdosed 2 days prior to when we found him. So I called my best friend. At the time, I called my best friend Erin, and I just broke down. I was on this memorial bike ride, and I called my best friend Erin, and he talked me through everything. We got to the next stop. I got a phone call that Erin had been killed 45 minutes after I got off the phone with them.
So it's like this is two friends in the same day.
Same day. And it was, so the craziest part about it was I was on a memorial bike ride for two of my really good friends. They were killed on their motorcycle. I am wearing, the person on my shirt is my brother. Well, he's my cousin, my dad's sister's son. Growing up, everybody thought we were twins. We're only 13 months apart. And I lost him.
Irish twins.
Absolutely. So I lost him July 28th of 2016 to an overdose. So I have him on my arm, says your pain is gone, your hands untied. It's Avenged Sevenfold lyrics. Yeah. But so it was on his birthday. So it was May 15th. So it was already a hard day. It's his birthday, and I was on a memorial ride for two people that I had lost, and then both my best friends in the same day. I don't remember the next probably 3-4 days. I had lost my mom 4 years prior, so I didn't death is very much like the only thing that's common in my life. I don't know if that just comes along with the trauma and the addiction. Obviously, we're around a lot of people that don't make all coherent choices. So my rock bottom was just, I didn't have anything else.
Yeah, it's like a combination of the past events and what you're going through.
Absolutely everything. So my rock bottom was April of 2021. It was there was no other choice. If I didn't, I was going to lose my kid. I was so good at being an alcoholic, that I was so functional and so aware. I luckily never put my kids' lives in danger. I was a binge drinker. And then everything got so bad in 2020. Then 2021 came, and I was like, I don't have a choice. It's it. And I went to my therapist and I told her everything, and she said, okay, well, we're gonna take a little vacation for about 4 or 5 days and let you reset. So I did an inpatient over a long weekend. Oh man, that was probably my sixth or seventh time doing inpatient for my mental health and alcohol.
Wow. What is it? I've always wondered with inpatient. I didn't do. I went to. I just detoxed myself, and
You
then
did it. I don't know how you did it, but you did it. But
it was gnarly. And it didn't happen just on one time. But coming out of like the inpatient detox, like what did you feel like afterwards?
I felt like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
When she woke up from when the house landed and she walked out, gives me chills. Uh, that's the only way I can, literally the only way I can describe it is, so I luckily didn't have to like physically detox.
Yeah.
So I was a binge drinker. So mine would last 3, 4, 5 days. And then I wouldn't do it for a while. And then,
Yeah.
at the end, luckily, like my going into it, I was like, I made this decision. I've got my alcohol under control. It's not a problem in my head. And then I'm like, I'm doing this more for my mental health. I got in there, and the difference with being in a detox and mental health facility is you are not alone.
Yes.
And that sounds so cheesy and so corny
But it's the
because
truth.
all of us in that moment were like, get away. Like, we
Yeah.
don't want to be around anybody. But I went through that so many times previously when I was like, as a child, when I was like forced to go and I didn't have a choice when I was a minor. I went 4 times underage for my mental health and alcohol addiction. And it's so different when you go in willingly. I mean, when you make that choice and you take that step and you go in willingly and you're like, okay, this is for me. For the first time, I speak from my experience and the people that I know, but all it was we wanted to feel loved and comforted, and that's
Yeah.
what whatever drug of choice did. It
Yeah.
gave us that comfort we were looking for.
I mean,
When you go,
let me
sure,
ask you something. Like when you're saying binge drinking, like what would trigger that? How much was it? Was this like a 3-day straight
sure,
binge? Like just define, your
sure.
binge drinking and
So
what
let
would
me let me
start
go
the drinking
back a
and
little bit. Sure, I'll go back a little bit to when it started. So I was 11 years old when my stepmom's sister-in-law, her brother's wife, so my aunt by marriage, uh, she I worked at haunted house when I was younger. All of us kids, we all went out there. We worked at haunted house at the haunted trail, and she would. Oh, it's so hard to say out loud, like, but she would just have all of everybody back to her house and have this huge party. And I'm 36 now, and looking back on it, if there was 30 people there, I'd say maybe 8 to 10 of them were over 21 or
Yeah.
even over 18. And I was 11 and 12, just giving her our orders, like what I wanted. Like I was ordering, like I wanted this wine cooler and this Jack Daniel's cooler in this flavor. Like I was 12 years old. I
Yeah.
mean, it's in 2000, so it was like, it's so hard to think back on it now because I'm like, oh my God, as an adult, I would never, and as a mother, I would absolutely just lose my mind. But so it
that's when
started
you started drinking.
as weekends, every weekend, the whole season. We would go the whole season throughout like holiday, like the Halloween season, staying with her, and then um, sorry, I got a phone call. We would then, like, the holidays would be there. So it would be like Thanksgiving and Christmas, and we were in our family homes. So it was okay.
Yeah.
They
So
were providing
how
it to
long
us.
did you drink like that? From age 11 to what age?
The first time, well, to 32.
Oh, wow. So this was like just
So
ongoing.
I am coming up on almost 4 years of this recovery journey and actually like having my mental health in order and stuff. So yay!
Nice job.
I'm excited. And I'm so blessed. Oh, I did not take the easy way. I had to do it my way. I didn't do any kind of AA or anything like that. I have a lot of religion trauma from childhood, so I had a hard time with like the AA and stuff. So I drank like that. So then you had holidays, and then it would be summer came, and she had all the kids there again, like all of us underage kids, like all of the, I
So
don't know. I don't even know.
this was accepted in your
This
family.
was,
And,
yeah.
and you
And
see a lot of families like that. Like, I don't want you to feel like that's completely
I know that now. I
because
know that now.
I've seen that before, but so it
So we did,
did it progressively get worse? And then
it did.
when you went through all this trauma, what how far did it go after?
Yep. So I have an average of 10 traumas, no less than 10 traumas, major traumas a year since I was 5 years old. And when I say that, I mean, whether it be death, like a major death in my life, divorce. I've been married twice. Both my ex-husbands are amazing. I'm so lucky to have, I co-parent very well, luckily. Whether it be divorce or a breakup or a death in my life, through therapy, I learned, through learning how to cope with chronic PTSD, from childhood trauma, we have we have averaged it out to no less than 10 like traumas that could cause PTSD a year. Whether they be self-inflicted, like from my alcohol usage and stuff like that. And I luckily never was arrested, or any kind of jail time. But that goes back to, I was 13 when I went into rehab for the first time. And the only reason that I even had to go was because my police in my town we had an 11 p.m. curfew for anybody underage. And I lived at the other end of the street was the YMCA. So so from 11 to 13, when I became, I, I was regularly taking my parents' vodka and diluting it. You know what I mean? The normal, just early to, like, that's just how we did it. And I would take the bottles and I would just leave the house because my mom would be asleep 20 hours a day because she was, her addiction was pharmaceuticals. Um, and she had severe mental health disorders that were not treated.
Hmm.
I know that now after a lot of therapy and stuff. But I would just go to the YMCA. I wasn't causing any trouble. But I was just sitting at the YMCA
Drinking.
on a slide, just drinking I was 12 and 13 years old. And the cops constantly found me and like wasn't causing any problems. So they weren't like arresting me, but they took me to my house 3 times before they asked to finally see a parent face to face.
Wow.
You've been in rehab how many times?
I when I want to say when I decided in 21, I want to say that was my seventh time in since I was 13.
Why did this time change? What changed in you? And what advice would you give to someone who continues to go back and it's not working for them? Like, why did it stick this time?
I wanted it. I wanted it more than anything. I had tried so many times other ways and being forced to do it. I think I know for me what stuck was I wasn't being forced to do it. I was my
That's
therapy.
That's
Say it
just my
again.
story too.
Say it
That's my
again.
story too. Yeah.
Like I was put into rehab 3 times before I was 18. And I got out and I was like, okay, cool.
You
Like
said because
that was
I
fun.
want, you said because I want it this time. And that's what I want all of our listeners to hear, because I've had a lot of phone calls, couple DMs, conversations where somebody that loves an addict, right? And we all have it. We're all addicts, by the way. Every one of you watching has some sort of addiction. It might be Snickers, it might be porn, it might be money, it might be work, but you all have addiction. So
Yep.
let's get that straight first. But what I want everyone to hear is you cannot change somebody, no matter how hard you try. They have to be willing to change themselves.
That goes for parents and children too.
Amen.
100%.
Now you can
If
hold
you're
their hand down that path. You can
Yep.
have understanding. I think it gets them there quicker when you say, "Hey, I really just want to help you through this. I will hold your hand until there's no longer a bottle in that hand, no matter how long that takes. I believe in you. I'm here for you. I will go on this journey with you." That is much more effective than trying to like have interventions
Yep.
and force these habits. Does it help some people? Do some people recover from that? Yes, but I
Maybe.
think it's a very low number, right?
Yeah,
And I
absolutely. No, and I'm not saying that like forcing somebody to go isn't saving their life. Please keep forcing them if you can, because every time there's still something, even
Yeah,
if it's
maybe it might stick.
one
Maybe it might
one
stick.
quote from somebody in the bathroom, there is some tiny little thing that they will take away from that. I could tell you something from every time I was in. Somebody I was in with that said something that I was like, you're right, you
Yep.
know, but I wanted it. I did not. So I dove headfirst into my mental health because I felt that I had my drinking under control at the like when I first started. I was like, it's okay. I don't need to worry about the addiction side of everything. I need to work on my mental health, which it all comes down to mental health anyways. But I went so head first in wanting to know why I am the way I am. So fortunately, I'm a little spicy with some extra personality disorders. Unfortunately, it's my genetics. And so I just dove headfirst in finding out why I was allowing this, why I thought that alcohol was just,
Okay.
I don't
You're
know,
like, it was
my
just okay.
warm-fuzzy blanket.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, like,
Same with opioids. Like, I'm like, I have this under control. I'm not using every day. I'm using every couple of weeks. And it's just, it takes a long time to learn. Well,
you have a bad day.
correct. You need
Bad
to
day.
be willing to do the work. You did the work. That's what's the most important. You said, hey, listen, I don't want to do this anymore and I'm going to figure it out. And that's how
Yeah.
you get coaching.
Absolutely. And it's crazy because my son is getting ready to turn 16. So there's things that I have learned in my therapy at 33, 34, 35 years old that have completely changed my outlook on being a teen mom, a mom to a teen. He'll come home days where his attitude is just so explosive and we didn't know what to do. So it was just literally just sitting down and being like, do you need to vent or do you want advice? Like, do you just want to talk or do you want to help like figure it out?
Yeah.
And I never had abandonment. Every single person, both my parents, I have 2 people in my life that have never left me, that have known me since I was born. And that is my grandmother and my Aunt Jody. At any other time, the rest of everybody that was supposed to keep me safe or love me in my life has abandoned me, whether it be for their own personal reasons or boundaries or whatever. They've just walked. So I didn't have that. So I became that for myself to get over the alcohol part of it. So I then went on to be like, okay, I'm doing this mental health thing. I want to have a beer with dinner. And then it would be 2 beers, and then it would be, I can do a couple shots. I'm in a good mood. I'm happy. I'm, I'm celebrating. And then I would wake up the next day and either have completely self-imploded, like my job, my relationship, my personal relationship with a friend, because I was celebrating. But I'm not the person that I was when I used, was absolutely somebody that was developed when I was 11 years old. I used because I felt like that was the only way
Emotionally
to
connect with people you're with.
heal the abandonment, because when I was using, then everybody liked me because I was the life of the party.
Yeah,
It
me
was,
too.
I was so happy and I was so fun and I was so the social butterfly until I wasn't,
Yeah,
because one, I never ate, so I have an eating disorder, so it was constantly on an empty stomach. So it was, I'm going to see which guy I can outdrink tonight. I'm going to see what guy at the bar is talking crap and end up in a fight because this person, wants to get mouthy or whatever. But it was like, I knew these things. As soon as I started getting to that second drink or that first shot, I knew these were coming. It was like literally like a light switch. And it was like, okay, now this is the person that like people want. But I didn't ever realize that was the person I hated the most.
I love
Ab-
I love what you said with your son, because it's so true, right? And anybody listening that has a child, that has an addict in their life, that has someone they care about, especially men, you're always trying to fix things. And if you just say, do you want me to listen or do you want me to help you fix it? Guess what they choose most of the time? I just
yeah,
want you to listen,
yeah.
right?
they just
They
You
don't
said
want.
vent or give advice. I think that's even better than how I say it. Do you want to vent or do you want advice? That's just a great way when somebody is struggling to be there and sit with them, because most of the time they just want companionship. They want the fellowship. So
They just want to feel seen. They just want somebody to listen and actually be present, is what I am so thankful for. I didn't have either parent present in my life in any kind of positive way. And all I ever wanted was to make sure that my children did not have to heal from their childhood. That
amen.
was
good for
my
you.
whole goal. I
So
wanted to be
I got two final questions for you.
absolutely.
There is two things that we talk about on almost every episode, and I want
Sure.
your input on it. How transparent with your children have you been about your alcoholism and your past traumas and your mental health? How transparent are you with them, and do you use the struggles that you've had to make sure they don't have to encounter the same thing, or to let them know that, hey, you might have to encounter this because this is in our DNA and in our lineage?
Good
So this
question.
is my favorite question, because if I can do anything, it's to prove that, oh my God, so I'm writing a book as well. Literally just, if it's not for anything, it's for my kids to read when they get older, to know that I didn't choose to be the person I was. I choose to be the person I became. I didn't
Nice.
choose to
Well
be the
said.
person that I was. So I my youngest is now 11. And so 1097. So he was like 6, 7 when I stopped drinking. But my thing is like I said, I was so good at it. So I was just drunk enough to feel okay, but I was never drunk enough so that like if something happened to the kids, I couldn't get up and make sure that things were like taken care of. Which is definitely sometimes worse because you're literally just numbing it. But my oldest is almost 16. And he started showing anxiety signs. I don't know, probably like 5, 6. So mental health has been talked about in my home since my kids were born.
So you're very transparent with them about it.
It is. They are welcome to whatever it is, and we play I call it the why game. So like a toddler asks for a candy bar before bed, and then you say, or before dinner, and you say no, go play. They don't have the brain capacity to understand why you're saying no. So if you change that and you're like, no, you can't have a candy bar before dinner, but maybe something sweet after dinner, that actually changes the way that their brain processes questioning. So when my kids started getting older and they had any kind of questions about if they would blow up, like my oldest son, if he would get very, if his emotions were too big for him at the moment, and if he got loud with it or yelled at his brother or something, I would obviously sit down once the session was diffused and explain to my youngest, okay, well, this is what happened that led up to like overwhelming. We're a very neurodivergent household as well, so we all get very overstimulated. So they understand we have crisis skills in my home that they have learned even being younger, for when their emotions start getting too big. I have such a large emotional disorder that it's almost like teaching them out of a book. Like I can only teach that way because that's the only way as an adult I learned what I should have learned at 5. I didn't have that. I didn't get to learn how to process my emotions as a kid, because I wasn't allowed to have them. It was all about my mother. So I have been working on just emotional processing, literally just, you feel this way. And when my older son, would get big emotions or get, blow up as an early teen or, anything like that, I would sit down, and if it came down to it, I would look up like different like neurons that misfire in your brain when there's some kind of, emotional disorder down to your central nervous system. And
so you're open and honest with them on knowing what's up, and if they're questioning your
everything. My youngest doesn't even remember me drinking at this point, which is crazy to me because I was like, oh my gosh, what does he remember? And he'll look at me and he's like, Mom, I don't remember anything, but I love that you tell other people your story.
So what radar do you have up with your son about the alcoholism? And it sounds like not with you, but with family members, some of the drug use. Like how do you talk to him about that? How open and transparent are you with him?
Very. So when my cousin passed away, my son was like 10. I think he was getting ready to turn 10. And so I told him. But Zach my cousin was such a big part of our life. Like that was my brother. That was his mom was my godmom. Like we were inseparable. And so I never lied. I was very honest about what happened and why it happened, and that there are drugs that exist that are that are scary, kind of for feeling out where the world was in 2017, and now to this day he has come to me with just questions like, hey, I heard this story at school, could you explain this?
Oh, that's good. That's because you built a bridge of trust to him, right?
Yes.
And so we have had conversations, and he's come to me if friends need any kind of advice, and I have kind of built the bridge for him to be almost like a mental health, addiction, drug use advocate for his high school. I guess I don't really know how to like put that into words because he doesn't like project it or anything, but like his friends, he has his friends come to him, and
so his friends know you're like in recovery, and you're like, a lot about mental health, and
everybody knows I am in recovery and for both mental health and alcoholism. I recover out loud because I suffered in silence for so long that there are people that will never come out, whether it be their family dynamic or their religion. I have a lot of people, a lot of people in my family that don't like how open and honest I am about my genetic addiction, because it is both sides of my family. And so
Well, you could
it,
ask Chad. We come from the generation where the family, we just sweep it under the rug. We
Yeah.
don't talk about it, put it in the closet. Let's keep it moving.
Yeah, and it's our generation's job to break that. That's why you see
Yeah.
so many of us breaking
Dude,
generation curses.
oh, that is my own, like, that is my whole dream. It's like my kids, like I said, that is my whole thing, is my kids. Like, they both come to me when they're feeling any kind of way, good, bad, indifferent, don't understand what they're doing. But as far as the addiction, like, I do not, I don't hide it, because think about like the 90s. You're sneaking into your parents' cigarette pack, you're stealing butts out of the ashtray, you're grabbing a bottle of vodka out of the cabinet and you're filling it back up with water, because that stuff was so taboo to us, and so, don't do it. Don't do it. This is your brain on drugs. This is your brain on alcohol. You know, this is what's going to happen. Why not? It was so taboo, and it was that thing that you're like, well, I want to try that. That
Yeah,
sounds
I did the same thing. I did the exact same thing. Take the
and
bottle,
like,
fill them up with water. Nobody will know. Let's go have a good
right.
time.
So when you take, I don't know what other form of my oldest son's also a hunter, so we'll go with the thing that when it comes to like addiction is just like firearms in my brain. If you raise a child to know everything that a firearm possibly does in the right way, to go hunting, how it breaks down, and show them what it is capable of, they'll never have that curiosity to go and look at it and touch it and show their friends. They'll be like, no, absolutely not. Like, that is how I believe that alcohol and drugs should be shown.
Amen.
Not the scare factor.
Yeah.
I don't feel like you should scare it out of them. Dude, just be honest.
Yep. Well, that's what we've been preaching, and we're out of time, Drago. So I'm going to let you finish up. But it's so funny. Like, Kayla, I just want to. You're amazing, and I think
I'm
you're.
sorry I ramble.
No,
This is
I
great.
appreciate it. And that last line that was gold for any parent watching, for anyone that's dealt with addiction, that wants to know how to talk to their children. That right there, because I have friends that are hunters, I have friends that are around guns. We are a little bit in my house, but we've kept them away now because our kids are young. But it's the
Yeah.
truth, right? If you see the responsible parents and the
Take
kids
that
that end up being
curiosity.
responsible with firearms, it's the ones that taught them, had them around it, teach them the safety behind it, teach them what they could do. And
They'll walk out of the room.
the same's true with drug and alcohol. I think that's just gold. That is a perfect analogy for what we've been trying to say, that transparency and building the bridge work.
Curiosity is it. It's the best way that I think I've ever been able to like explain it.
Yeah.
Is there's nothing different. You take that curiosity away and you show them the truth and the responsibility and like what it does, and don't hide it from them. We unfortunately, when I lost when I lost my very first person to drugs and alcohol, it was in 2004. Heroin was a rock star drug at that time. Like, you didn't, even here in Ohio, like you didn't hear about that stuff. So that was enough. When I was 14, he was 19, one of my best friends, like family to my family. It was enough. It was enough at 14 to be like, okay, I know exactly what it does. So it's when you hide it. We live in 2024. You can't hide that. You can't hide it. It's everywhere, unfortunately.
If you don't talk about it to your children, someone else will. So I always want my message. That's, if like
Be open.
we're
Talk to your kids.
I'm a devout Christian, right? And we listen to rap music that has the F word in it. We don't like hide it from our kids. We say, hey, that's what this word means. This is why we don't use it in my family and our family. And this is actually what that word means when you say it. So you probably
And they're
shouldn't say
like,
it because it's really stupid if you really dig down to what the word is. So then they're like, oh my gosh, I heard it, but I think transparency is key. Drago, we're over time. Why don't you take us out? Kaleigh, you're amazing.
Thank you.
Thanks for being
thank
on.
you guys.
Yeah, Kaleigh, thank you so much for the time. You are a breath of fresh air. Continue to recover out loud. Like that's
Always.
the key.
And
The way you
guys,
it
32
is, but the
episodes.
way yeah, hell yeah. But the way you explain like explaining addiction to your kid, that makes complete sense. So that was great. So I say this every episode. Anybody that's listening, thank you. We don't do this podcast because we're trying to get famous. We're doing this because this is what fills our cup up. If you're thinking about getting into recovery, if you're thinking about getting sober, if you need somebody to talk to, I would much rather take a phone call from you at 3 o'clock in the morning than have to go to your funeral. We are always available. Both me and Chad will put our personal numbers in the comments like we always do. We are literally always available. We have the resources to help you. We just need you to understand that like we're here to help you. We do find love. We do find recovery. We do find finance. You can have it all if you want to do the work. Heck yeah. Yeah. Do you have anything else to say before we go, Kaleigh?
We do recover, and we are always here. We do recover. Have a great day, guys.
You're
Yeah,
amazing.
bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.